My brother called me an embarrassment and banned me from Thanksgiving. So I stayed home along with the $18,000 turkey dinner, wine collection and luxury resort booking under my name. Before we begin, take a moment to subscribe, say hello below and tell us where you're watching from. Your support truly means everything. Let's continue. The notification lit up my phone at 11:47 p.m. on a Tuesday. My brother Gerald's name flashed across the screen, and something in my chest tightened before I even answered. We hadn't spoken in 3 weeks. Not since Mom's birthday dinner where tension hung thicker than the humidity outside. "We need to talk about Thanksgiving," Gerald said, skipping any greeting. His voice carried that edge I'd grown to recognize, the one that meant he'd already made decisions about my life without consulting me. I sat up in bed, my silk bonnet sliding back slightly. "Okay, what about it? Mom and I have been talking." He paused and I could hear his wife Vanessa murmuring something in the background. "We think it's better if you sit this one out." The words didn't register immediately. Sit it out? Like Thanksgiving was a basketball game? "What are you talking about, Gerald? You're an embarrassment, Janelle. The way you showed up to Mom's party in those jeans, talking loud about your little business ventures. Vanessa's parents were there. My colleagues were there." His voice hardened. "You don't fit the image we're trying to project for this family." My hands trembled as I gripped the phone tighter. 28 years of sister-brother moments flashed through my mind. Teaching him to ride a bike, helping him study for college exams, lending him $3,000 when his first business nearly collapsed. And now I was an embarrassment? "So you're uninviting me from Thanksgiving?" My voice came out steadier than I felt. "It's for the best. We'll do something another time." "Maybe." The line went dead before I could respond. Sleep didn't come that night. I lay in the darkness of my bedroom, staring at the ceiling fan making lazy circles above me, replaying every family gathering from the past 5 years. When had I become the problem? My phone buzzed at 6:15 a.m. My heart lifted for a moment. Maybe she didn't know, maybe she'd fix this. "Baby, I heard Gerald called you last night." "Mom, he uninvited me from Thanksgiving. Can you believe?" "Janelle." Her tone stopped me cold. "Gerald is trying to build something important. His firm just made him partner. Vanessa comes from a very prestigious family. We need to be mindful of impressions." The betrayal hit harder than Gerald's words. "So you agree with him? Your own daughter is too embarrassing to have at Thanksgiving? Don't be dramatic. It's just one holiday. Gerald is hosting at that beautiful house of his, and he's invited some very important people. You understand, don't you?" I didn't trust myself to speak. My mother, who I'd helped through Dad's death 6 years ago, who I'd supported through her depression, was choosing my brother's image over her daughter. "The reservation at Meadowbrook Resort is under your name anyway," she continued casually. "Gerald said you could change it to someone else if you want. He knows you probably can't afford it." That's when something crystallized inside me. The reservation. The wine. The catering. Everything Gerald had arranged for this perfect Thanksgiving celebration. All under my name, my credit cards, my accounts. 3 months ago, Gerald had called with excitement in his voice. "Sis, I want to host the most incredible Thanksgiving our family's ever seen. But my credit's tied up in the business expansion. Can I use your accounts? I'll pay you back before the charges even post." I pulled out my laptop with shaking hands as Mom continued talking about understanding family dynamics. I barely heard her as I logged into my credit card accounts, my bank statements, every financial record I had. There was all of it. Meadowbrook Resort, $12,000 for 3 nights in their luxury wing, 8 rooms booked. Premium catering from Andres, $18,000 for a custom Thanksgiving feast serving 30 people, featuring a heritage breed turkey, lobster mac and cheese, Wagyu beef Wellington, and 7 different desserts prepared by a pastry chef. Wine collection from Sommelier's Choice, $8,000 for carefully curated bottles, including a 1998 Chateau Margaux. Event planning and decor, $5,000 for what the invoice described as autumn opulence theme with imported florals. Transportation service, $2,500 for luxury car service for guests. Live music ensemble, $3,000 for a string quartet during dinner. The total sat at the bottom of my spreadsheet like a punch to my gut. $48,500. Janelle? Are you listening to me? Mom's voice cut through my shock. I have to go, I whispered and ended the call. My phone immediately rang again, Gerald this time. I answered with a voice I didn't recognize as my own. Did you spend almost $50,000 on my credit? I told you I'd pay you back. Why are you being so dramatic about everything? This is exactly why we can't have you around important people, Janelle. You're always making scenes about money, about respect, about... I want it paid back. Now. Gerald laughed. Actually laughed. Sure, sis. Let me just pull 50 grand out of my magic hat. You'll get it when you get it. Maybe if you focused more on building real wealth instead of your little Etsy store, you wouldn't be so pressed. I stared at my phone after Gerald hung up, his words echoing in my mind. My little Etsy store had generated $200,000 in revenue last year, selling handcrafted leather goods that celebrities and boutiques across the country ordered. I'd built something real, something mine without family money or connections. But in Gerald's eyes, in all their eyes, I was still the baby sister who didn't measure up. My best friend Kendra called at 7:30 a.m., right on schedule for our daily check-in. Before she could say good morning, I was crying, the words tumbling out between sobs. They uninvited me, Ken. My own family. Wait, slow down. Start from the beginning. I told her everything. The late-night call, my mother's betrayal, the money Gerald had spent without a second thought about paying me back. When I finished, silence stretched across the line. Janelle, Kendra finally said, her voice tight with anger, please tell me you're not just going to let this slide. What am I supposed to do? They're my family. Family doesn't treat you like a credit card with legs. Family doesn't call you an embarrassment and expect you to smile about it. I could hear her pacing, her heels clicking against hardwood floors. You have the power here. You know that, right? Everything is in your name. The thought had crossed my mind, floating there like something forbidden. I can't just cancel everything. There are other people involved. Cousins, aunts, uncles who didn't do anything wrong. Did any of them call you? Did any of them say, hey, we heard Gerald uninvited you, that's messed up? They hadn't. Not one person. Girl, I love you, but you've been a doormat for this family too long. It's time to stand up. I couldn't make the decision immediately. Instead, I found myself scrolling through old photos on my phone, a masochistic trip down memory lane. Thanksgiving 2019. Me and Gerald laughing over a board game while our dad carved the turkey. We looked happy. We looked like family. Thanksgiving 2020. The first one without dad. I'd held Mom's hand through the entire meal, both of us trying not to cry into our plates. Gerald had left early to spend real time with Vanessa's family, he'd said. I'd stayed and helped Mom clean up, listening to her cry about how much she missed her husband. Thanksgiving 2021. Gerald announced his engagement. Everyone celebrated, toasted, made speeches. I'd given a heartfelt tribute to their love, genuinely happy for my brother. When I'd announced my business had hit its first $100,000 in sales that same night, Mom had said, "That's nice, dear," and immediately redirected conversation back to wedding planning. Thanksgiving 2022. I'd paid for most of the meal because Mom was between jobs, and Gerald claimed the wedding had drained him. Nobody had paid me back. I'd told myself family isn't about keeping score. But they'd been keeping score, hadn't they? And I'd always come up short in their accounting. My phone buzzed. A text from my Aunt Sheila. Heard you're not coming to Thanksgiving. Probably for the best, more room for the rest of us. Something inside me cracked clean through. I opened my laptop and pulled up every confirmation number, every reservation, every contract. My hands hovered over the keyboard as my heart hammered against my ribs. Could I really do this? Could I pull the plug on everything and leave them scrambling? Kendra's words echoed back. You have the power here. At 10 a.m. I called Meadowbrook Resort. My voice surprised me with its steadiness. Hi, I need to discuss reservation number MB47839 under Janelle Morrison. Of course, Ms. Morrison. We're so excited to host your family's Thanksgiving celebration. How can I help you? I took a breath. I need to know the cancellation policy. Pause. Well, you're within the 30-day window, so you'd receive a full refund minus a 10% processing fee. May I ask if there's a problem we can resolve? No problem. I'd like to cancel, please. As the representative processed my request, I felt something shift in my chest. Not guilt, but something like liberation. Ms. Morrison, I'm showing multiple rooms booked. Will you be rebooking with us in the future? No, I said simply. No, I won't. Next, I called Andre's Catering. The chef himself answered, his French accent thick with enthusiasm. Ah, Miss Morrison. I've been preparing the menu for your beautiful celebration. The turkey, she is magnifique. I need to cancel the order. Cancel. His enthusiasm deflated. But I've already procured the specialty ingredients. The heritage turkey alone cost $800. The lobster is being flown in fresh. What's your cancellation policy? He sighed heavily. You will receive 75% refund. The remaining is for preparation already completed. This is very unusual, Ms. Morrison. Your brother, he spoke of this dinner with such passion. My brother, I said carefully, won't be needing your services. Please process the cancellation. I worked through the list methodically. The wine collection, cancelled 90% refund. The event planning, cancelled 50% refund for work already completed. The transportation service, cancelled full refund. The string quartet, cancelled, deposit forfeited but remaining balance refunded. Gerald called at 2:37 p.m. I let it go to voicemail. He called again at 2:38, 2:39, 2:41. On the fourth attempt, I answered. What did you do? His voice was so loud I had to pull the phone away from my ear. I cancelled reservations that were under my name and paid for with my money. You know, the money for the Thanksgiving I'm apparently too embarrassing to attend. Janelle, I swear to God if you don't fix this right now. You'll what, Gerald? Uninvite me harder. I surprised myself with a laugh. Call me more names? Tell me again how I don't fit your image. Do you have any idea what you've done? Vanessa's parents are coming. My senior partners are coming. I told everyone this would be the event of the season. And now you've sabotaged everything because your feelings got hurt. My feelings got hurt? The words came out sharper than I intended. You spent $50,000 of my money for a party I'm banned from, and you think this is about hurt feelings? I was going to pay you back. When, Gerald? When exactly? Because you still owe me from 3 Thanksgivings ago. You still owe me from when I lent you money for your business. You still owe me for Mom's birthday dinner that I covered because you forgot your wallet. Silence on the other end. Then, this is low even for you. Mom was right. You've always been jealous of my success. You can't stand that I made something of myself while you're still playing arts and crafts. The words should have hurt. A week ago they would have. But something had fundamentally shifted in me. Tell Mom she can call me when she's ready to apologize. Tell Vanessa's parents I'm sorry they won't get their Instagram perfect holiday. And Gerald. I paused. Lose my number. They showed up at my apartment at 6 p.m. Gerald, Mom, and surprisingly Vanessa. I watched through my doorbell camera as Gerald pounded on my door hard enough to rattle the frame. Janelle. Open this door right now. I considered not answering, but something in me wanted this confrontation. Needed it. I opened the door but kept the security chain latched. Yes. Mom pushed forward, her face a mixture of anger and desperation. Baby, please. Let's talk about this reasonably. You've made your point, but now you need to fix what you've done. This is family. Family, I repeated. The same family that called me an embarrassment? That uninvited me from Thanksgiving? That spent $50,000 of my dollars without permission. I raised you better than this pettiness, Mom said, and there it was. The disappointment I'd spent my whole life trying to avoid. But this time it bounced off something hard that had formed inside me. Vanessa stepped forward, her designer heels clicking on my hallway floor. Janelle, I don't think you understand the social implications of what you've done. My parents have expectations. Gerald's colleagues have expectations. This reflects on all of us. All of you, I corrected. It reflects on all of you. I'm not part of us anymore, remember? I'm too embarrassing. Gerald's jaw clenched. You're being a child. You know what? Fine. Keep the money. Consider it payment for us having to deal with your drama all these years. But you fix this or you're done. No more family events, no more Sunday dinners, no more nothing. Something Mom had said years ago floated back to me. After Dad died, she'd squeezed my hand and whispered, "Family is everything, baby. Don't ever forget that." But Dad had meant something different by family. After they left, I sat in my apartment's darkness and let myself remember Dad properly. Not the sanitized version Mom and Gerald preferred, but the real man who'd raised me. I was 16 when Dad pulled me aside after a particularly brutal family dinner where Mom had criticized everything from my clothes to my college aspirations. He'd taken me to his workshop, that sacred space that smelled of sawdust and Old Spice. "Your mom loves you," he'd said, running his calloused hands over a piece of cherry wood he was shaping into a jewelry box. For me, though I didn't know it yet. But she's got ideas about what success looks like, what respectability looks like. He grew up poor, baby girl. Real poor. That does something to a person. So I'm supposed to just let her make me feel small? I'd asked, teenage anger making my voice crack. No. He'd looked at me with those warm brown eyes that Gerald had inherited. You're supposed to know your worth regardless of what anybody else says. Even family. Especially family sometimes. He'd paused, considering his words carefully. Love doesn't mean accepting disrespect, Nellie. Don't ever let anyone treat you less than you deserve, even if they share your last name. I'd thought about that conversation 1,000 times since he died, but I'd never really understood it until now. Dad had seen something coming, some fracture in our family foundation that would widen after he was gone. My phone lit up with a text from Gerald. "Mom's crying because of you. Hope you're proud." I wasn't proud. But I wasn't backing down either. Another text, this time from a number I didn't recognize. "This is Vanessa's mother, Diane Hartwell. I don't appreciate being embarrassed by your family's dysfunction. Gerald assured us this would be a sophisticated affair." I blocked the number without responding. Kendra showed up at 9 p.m. with wine and Thai food, bypassing my protests with a look that said we both knew I needed her. We sat on my couch, eating pad thai straight from the containers while I recounted the evening's confrontation. "Wait," Kendra said, setting down her fork. "Back up. Vanessa's mom texted you? How did she even get your number? Gerald must have given it to her." "That's..." Kendra's face darkened. "That's actually insane. They're literally trying to gang up on you from every angle." She pulled out her phone, typing rapidly. "My cousin works at Meadowbrook. Give me a second." While Kendra texted, I scrolled through my social media. A mistake. Gerald had posted a cryptic status. "Family isn't always blood. Sometimes the people you're related to are the ones who hurt you most." The comments were flooded with support for him, people who knew nothing about what had actually happened. My phone buzzed. "Aunt Sheila again. You always were a selfish girl. Your daddy would be ashamed." That one hit different. I felt tears prick my eyes before I could stop them. "Oh hell no." Kendra snatched my phone, read the message, and her face transformed into something fierce. "Janelle, I need to tell you something. I didn't want to because I thought maybe I was wrong, but..." She took a breath. "Last month I ran into Gerald at that wine bar downtown. He was with some woman, not Vanessa." My stomach dropped. "What?" They were holding hands, being really cozy. When he saw me, he came over and said she was a business associate. But girl, that wasn't business. And he made me promise not to tell you because you wouldn't understand the pressure he's under. The room seemed to tilt slightly. Gerald is cheating on Vanessa? I don't know for sure, but it looked real suspicious. I couldn't sleep that night, Kendra's revelation churning in my mind alongside everything else. At 2 a.m. I did something I'm not proud of. I started digging into Gerald's social media, his tagged photos, his check-ins over the past 6 months. There was a pattern. Every Tuesday and Thursday he checked in at the same upscale gym across town. But 3 weeks ago I'd called him on a Thursday afternoon, and he'd said he was at the office working late. The background noise hadn't sounded like an office. Then I found her. In a group photo from his firm's charity gala 2 months ago, tagged by a colleague. Gerald with his arm around a woman named Simone Laurent, identified as a consultant for the Henderson merger. They were standing just a little too close, his hand resting on her lower back in a way that felt intimate. I clicked on Simone's profile. Private, but her profile picture showed her at an art gallery opening. In the background, barely visible, was Gerald, at an event he'd told Vanessa he couldn't attend because of a business emergency. My phone buzzed with an email notification at 2:47 a.m. André's Catering, the French chef. Ms. Morrison, I must inform you that your brother called today very angry. He demanded we reinstate the order under his credit card. However, when we attempted to process payment, the card was declined. Thought you should know. He also said many unkind things about you, and I wanted to say, I have been in this business 30 years. A man who speaks of his sister that way? Not a good man. Something about that email from a stranger who owed me nothing, cracked something open inside me. I started crying, not sad tears but something else. Relief? Validation? The recognition that I'd been gaslit for so long I'd started to believe their version of me. At 7 a.m. my phone exploded with messages. Thanksgiving morning arrived cold and gray. I woke up to 17 missed calls and a flood of text messages. But I didn't check them immediately. Instead, I made myself coffee, put on my favorite playlist and started cooking. Just for me. Just for one. I made Dad's cornbread dressing, the recipe he taught me when I was 12. I roasted a small turkey breast because I actually liked turkey. I made sweet potato casserole with the pecan topping Mom always said was too much. But Dad and I had loved. I cooked for myself with care, with intention, with love. At 11 a.m., Kendra showed up with her girlfriend Tasha and Tasha's brother Jerome, who I'd met a few times at barbecues. Nobody should be alone on Thanksgiving, Kendra announced, carrying 2 pies. Plus, I heard you can actually cook, and girl, I'm tired of my family's dry turkey. We set up in my small apartment, laughing and cooking and creating something that felt more like family than any dinner at Gerald's mansion could have been. Jerome, who worked as a contractor, told stories about disastrous home renovations. Tasha, an ER nurse, shared wild hospital tales. Kendra kept us laughing with her commentary on everything. At 2 p.m. my phone rang. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Janelle. Her voice was small, strained. Where are you? Home. Having Thanksgiving. You need to come over here. No. Everything is falling apart and Gerald needs you to fix it. I looked around my apartment at the people who'd shown up for me, who'd made space for me at their table without conditions or expectations. No, Mom. I don't think I do. Janelle Marie Morrison, you get over here right now. And I hung up. Then I blocked her number. Then Gerald's. Then every family member who'd had something to say about my selfishness, but nothing to say about my banishment. 3 days after Thanksgiving, I received a certified letter. Legal documents. Gerald was suing me for financial damages and emotional distress related to the canceled Thanksgiving arrangements. I sat on my couch, staring at the papers, feeling nothing but a distant kind of sadness. That afternoon, I met with a lawyer who listened to my story and actually smiled. Ms. Morrison, he has no case. The reservations were in your name, paid with your funds. You can cancel your own arrangements. His suit is frivolous. She paused. However, I'd recommend you pursue the money he actually owes you. From what you've described, there's a pattern of financial exploitation. I thought about it, about dragging this through courts, about fighting for years, about keeping them in my life even through conflict. No, I said finally. I just want them gone. Word got back to me through Kendra's network. Gerald's Thanksgiving had been a disaster. They'd scrambled to find last-minute catering, but everything was closed or booked. Vanessa's parents had left after an hour of chaos and cold cuts. His colleagues never showed up. The whole event became office gossip. The partner who couldn't even organize a family dinner. And apparently Vanessa had found out about Simone. Someone at the firm, tired of Gerald's arrogance, had sent her the evidence. She'd left him, taking her family's connections and the social standing he'd prized so much. Mom called from a different number 6 weeks later. I answered, curious despite myself. He lost everything, she said without preamble. The partnership, the house, Vanessa. He's staying with me now, and Janelle, he's devastated. He needs his sister. He had his sister, I said quietly. He called her an embarrassment and threw her away. How long are you going to punish us? Family forgives. You're right, I agreed. Family does forgive. Real family also apologizes. Real family doesn't exploit. Real family doesn't ask you to set yourself on fire to keep them warm. I took a breath. I forgive you, Mom. I forgive Gerald. But forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. It doesn't mean giving you more chances to hurt me. So that's it? You're just done with your family? I looked around my apartment, at the photos on my wall from Friendsgiving, at my thriving business that I'd built despite being called an embarrassment. No, I said. I'm done with people who treated me like family was a conditional privilege I had to earn. I'm building something better now. After I hung up, I didn't cry. I felt light, like I'd been carrying something heavy for so long I'd forgotten what it felt like to stand up straight. Dad's words came back one final time. Love doesn't mean accepting disrespect. I finally understood. And I was free. If you've experienced family betrayal or struggled with toxic relationships, drop a comment below. Sometimes the hardest thing is knowing when to walk away. And if this story resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe for more real talk about family, boundaries, and finding your worth. Remember, you're not obligated to set yourself on fire to keep others warm.